Hey y'all, how y'all doing today? Hope everyone's having a good day. Wanted to hop on here and talk to you guys a little bit about finances today. And I know during this time of the year and the holiday season, a lot of us can be struggling with our finances and things are tight and we're under pressure to buy all these awesome gifts for everybody in our lives. And if we have kids, we always want to spoil our kids and give them the best things that we can and buy them these awesome toys so we can see their faces light up on Christmas morning, right? And while that is all great and fine and dandy, a lot of times instead of going out and charging that credit card and racking up that debt and going out and buying the biggest and best toy that you can for them, really the main thing that our kids need during this time of year and all throughout the year is not necessarily a present, but is our presence, right? They want us to be there with them. They want us to spend time with them and to play with them and to be with them as they grow and learn. And those times that we spend with them are going to be more impactful, and they're going to remember that more than some awesome, expensive gift that they get on Christmas morning, or some PS5, or awesome new 4x4 or electric bike or whatever. They'll have fun with that for a little while, but then it'll become old and they'll want the next new thing. And the main thing is that we're spending time with our kids and we're raising them in the way of the Lord and just teaching them and loving on them. And like I said, this topic is about finances. And I know a lot of people struggle this time of the year with their finances, and a lot of it's legitimate. And a lot of the struggles are self-inflicted. And I kind of want to go on a rant a little bit here about managing our finances. Like I was just saying, instead of buying all these fancy gifts for your kids, spend some time with them. The Bible calls us to be good stewards of our finances. And in Matthew chapter 25, we have the parable of the talents, where this business owner, he gives some of his workers talents. He gives one 5 talents, one 2 talents, and one 1 talent. And he goes out of town. And of course, if you've heard the story before, you know that the guy with 5 talents goes and invests those talents and doubles it, and he comes back with 10 talents, right? And the guy with 2 talents, same thing. He goes out and he uses what his master gave him. He invests it and he doubles that, and he comes back with 4 talents. But then you got the guy with the 1 talent, and he was scared that he was going to lose it or mess up and lose everything his master gave him. So instead of going out and trying to double it or do anything with it, he buries it in the ground. And when the master comes back, he rewards the 2 guys that invested. He tells them, you've been faithful with the little, now I will give you much more. The master comes to the guy with 1 talent and he calls him wicked and lazy because he didn't go out and use what the master gave him. Or the owner even tells him, you could have put it in the bank and made interest off of it. You didn't even do that. All you did was bury it in the ground. And like I said, he calls him wicked and lazy. And in the same way, we need to be good stewards of the money and the finances that Christ has given us. And even though it might not seem like a lot, God has entrusted it to us. And so we need to be faithful with that. And if we are faithful with that, God promises that he will provide and he will take care of us. I always bring up Matthew 6:33, and that's because it's such a good verse. And it's a verse, I try to live my life by. Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and then all of these things will be added unto you. All of these things, speaking of food and clothing and finances, everything you need to live life, not your greeds, but your needs. Christ promises that if we keep him first, he'll take care of all the rest of it. So we don't have to stress about our finances. Another great verse is Philippians 4:19, and it says that my God will supply all of your needs according to his riches and glory by Christ Jesus. So we're just promised, that God will take care of all of our needs. Another really cool story that I like is in Matthew chapter 17. And it's at the end of the chapter, and the tax collector is coming around, and he comes to Peter and he's like, hey, Peter, is your master, is he going to pay his taxes? Speaking of Jesus. And Peter's like, yeah, of course he's going to pay his taxes. So then Peter goes to Jesus and he's like, hey, Jesus, we got to pay taxes. How are we going to do that? And Jesus goes to him and he says, we are to pay our taxes. Another place in the Bible, Jesus says, give unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. And so he encourages us to pay our taxes, even though it sucks and I hate it. And it seems like we're taxed on everything these days. Christ still tells us, we are to be subjective to the government and to pay our taxes to them. But the really cool thing is in this story in Matthew chapter 17, Jesus tells Peter, hey, go out there and go fishing. And he says, the fish that you catch, it's going to have a coin in its mouth. And that's going to be enough money to pay my taxes and your taxes, which is so cool because it shows us that God can miraculously provide our needs. Again, he will take care of all of our needs. He will provide for us. I've seen this personally in my own family and in my own finances many years ago. And I've mentioned this in a podcast episode before. When money was tight and my wife and I didn't have a lot and I was doing my flight training, we received a check in the mail out of nowhere from a guy we'd never met. And this is when we were praying for our financial needs and my flight training. And, God provided for us supernaturally in that way. And it was so cool to see. And just throughout my entire life, I've seen God always provide and take care of me. And the reason he does that, and not to toot my own horn, but to toot his horn, is because I've always tried to keep him first in my finances and in the things that he has given me and blessed me with. And that's kind of where we transition into this idea of tithing and giving. It's super important for us to remember that everything we have comes from God in the first place. No matter what we think we've done to earn it on this earth, none of it would have been possible without God allowing us to earn it. If we didn't have the breath in our lungs and the ability to walk or to use our hands or all the different talents Christ has blessed us with, that's the reason we're able to make this money and to either build this business or to go to work our 9 to 5 and make a good amount of money, or have the wisdom to invest our money and to multiply it. All of that comes from God. And so we need to remember that and to remember to give back to him. In Luke 6:38, it says, and this is Jesus speaking, he says, give and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. For with the same measure that you use, it will be measured back to you. And that's Jesus telling us the amount that he's going to bless you is going to be based off the amount that you're willing to give and to bless others. And so we need to be generous with the things that Christ has given to us. Also in Malachi chapter 3, this is the only place where we're told to actually test God. He tells us, test him, bring our tithes into the storehouse. And if you do that, see if he won't pour out a blessing so great that it'll be bigger than what we can even handle. So if you don't think that you can afford to tithe, I promise you, you can't afford to not tithe. I've seen this in my own life. And as long as I've been faithful with my finances to Christ, he's been faithful in providing for me and for my family's needs. A great example is Elijah when he goes to the widow and he asks her to make him some food, right? And she's like, hey, all I've got is this little bit of oil and this little bit of flour. I was going to go home, make a last meal for me and my son, and then we were going to die. And Elijah tells her, well, that's cool, but go ahead and make me a meal anyways. And so she's faithful and she trusts what God is telling her through Elijah. So she makes Elijah this meal and they eat this meal, and then her oil just keeps showing up. It keeps coming. It keeps coming. It never runs out. The next day, she's got enough oil to make her and her son and Elijah some food. And then the next day, same thing. She's got more oil to make food for her and her son and Elijah. And she just constantly gets replenished day after day after day because she was faithful. And she literally gave everything she had left to God and to this man of God. And God provided for her and for her son. I just want to let you guys know that even though finances may be tough this time of year, and even though you might be looking at your bank accounts and saying, man, how am I going to make it? Or you're without a job right now, you're in so much debt, it's over your head. God can turn things around and God can take care of you as long as you get your priorities straight. I myself am in a season of life where I don't currently have an income. And like I said, I've seen God provide for me in the past, and I've trusted he will continue to provide for me in the future. It may not look like what I want it to look like. And, we might not always be on the same page as God, but God will supply our needs some way, somehow. So I just encourage you guys this time of year, if you're going through a difficult time with your finances, to put your trust in God and to stop focusing on what you don't have and focus on what God has already given you, and try and use what God has given you, whether it's financial or whether it's, your physical talents or the things that God has gifted you in, to go out and bless others and see if by doing that, if God won't in turn bless you back and give you more and provide for you. I promise you, you will not regret it. You will not regret giving what God has given you back to him. All right. Appreciate you guys for always listening to me. Hope you guys are having a great holiday season. If y'all need prayer for anything, or you want to talk or chat, or got any questions or anything like that, as always, you can hit me up in the comments, DMs, shoot me an email, whatever you guys want. I'm here to help you guys, and as always, to try and lead you closer to Jesus. So hope y'all have a great day. God bless you, and we'll catch you on the next one.